Today, we covered five major stories: Trump closing the Department of Education, Pam Bondi sworn in as Attorney General, Donald Trump proposes that the U.S. take over Gaza and ethnically cleanse the region, Governor Shapiro pushes for taxes on games of skill and adult use cannabis, and Donald Trump signed sweeping executive order banning transgender women and girls from competing with cisgender women and girls in athletic competitions. Here's my take on each of the five stories and my overall view of how these are connected. First, Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the Department of Education to start winding down, urging Congress to pass a bill that would abolish the Department of Ed. What is it exactly that the department does? Is it involved in making curriculum decisions? Well, no. No, it is not. It establishes spending policies on federal financial aid in the form of Pell Grants, subsidized and unsubsidized loans, plus loans, and the policies related to deferment of payment and the forgiveness of such loans because of death or disability, among other financial concerns. Outstanding federal student debt stood at roughly $1.64 trillion toward the end of 2024, according to the U.S. Department of Education data. The average federal student loan debt held by Americans in the fourth quarter of 2024 was $38,375. The total amount owed in federal student loans was $1.37 trillion in 2017. When considering both federal and private loans, American student loan debt is estimated to be over $2.19 trillion. Is President Trump considering forgiving all student loan debt? Oh, good heavens, no. Is he considering consolidating debt from multiple loans per student to one loan per student with lowered interest rates to help student borrowers? Are you out of your mind? No, he won't do that either. So, well, if closing the U.S. Department of Education helps decrease federal spending, doesn't that mean that the money not going toward the department could be used to help low-income families to send their kids to college or adult vocational and technical training? Because that would be a great part of the whole Make America Great Again thing. Nope, can't do that either. Well, what else does the Department of Education do that's so important? It collects and analyzes data on American schools and disseminates that information. Well, what does that mean? Among other criteria, the data collection reviews issued are things such as student demographics, special education, bullying, and evaluation of STEM programs. However, a quick peek at the open data platform from the Department of Education appears to show that their records haven't been updated much since 2016. The Office for Civil Rights Data Collection team appears not to have released any new reports since 2021, and most of the reports on that part of the department website are from 2018 or earlier. And most of these reports are incredibly relevant to each state so that they compare their results with other states or maybe even enact legislation within their state. Consider the following topics that the Department of Education has collected data and shared with the public: student discipline and school climate, referrals to law enforcement and school-related arrests, sexual violence and sex-based harassment or bullying, student enrollment and school characteristics, profile of students with disabilities, profile of English language learners, and students' access to and enrollment in mathematics, science, and computer science courses and academic programs report. The third of four primary responsibilities of the U.S. Department of Education is focusing national attention on key education issues. Out on the campaign trail, then candidate Trump offered many points other than the elimination of the department itself. He proposed that transgender girl and women athletes could not participate in athletic competition with their cisgender peers. That is a topic that we will get into much more depth at some point soon. He praised Moms for Liberty in their pursuit of wiping out all sexually based content from school libraries, essentially leading to book bans all across the country. He wanted the Secretary of Education to examine the curriculum of all 10,000 school districts across the country to assure the public that they are not teaching woke ideology. He fought to ban CRT in schools. With a list like that, you might be thinking he would be leading America well into the 21st century. Well, if you think that way, you're dead wrong. The book bans are really an attack on the LGBTQ plus community. You see, in Trump-menistan, schools would be removing any books with LGBTQ plus characters or written by LGBTQ plus authors. He also wanted to remove books involving discussions on race or diversity, equity, and inclusion. In Trump's version of utopia, he sees the world as fit only for cisgender, white, male-dominated culture and authors. And as for CRT, let's evaluate what that is. According to Britannica.com, critical race theory is really an intellectual and social movement and loosely organized framework of legal analysis based on the premise that race is not a natural, biologically grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups of human beings, but a socially constructed, culturally invented category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. Critical race theorists hold that racism is inherent in the law and legal institutions of the United States insofar as they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans, people of color. Critical race theorists are generally dedicated to applying their understanding of the institutional or structural nature of racism to the concrete, if distant, goal of eliminating all race-based and other unjust hierarchies. From its founding, critical race theory has been a topic at graduate and law schools across the country. Put another way, the complexities of critical race theory are not taught in K through 12 schools. They are far too advanced. If this is his basis of woke ideology, well, then the pumpkin Fuhrer, to use his own words, needs more sleep than Sleepy Joe. Turning to the story about Pam Bondi, she arrives at the Justice Department right in time to fire and possibly prosecute thousands of FBI agents who were part of the January 6th investigation. Trump just cut loose the J6 rioters and now wants to lock up the FBI agents tasked with putting the seditious, nearly treasonous people who stormed the U.S. Capitol building while the electoral vote was being counted, all while having a gallows complete with a noose intended for none other than his vice president at the time, Mike Pence, at the Capitol. Bondi wants to de-weaponize the Justice Department to stop it from investigating things like all the highly classified documents left hidden at Mar-a-Lago or the billions of dollars he received from the Saudis. Meanwhile, Bondi's positions on social issues is pretty much in line with a Trump bootlicker. During questioning before the U.S. Senate, she explained that she opposes the use of mifepristone, the abortion pill. She is relying on the Comstock Act of 1873. For the unaware, as I was until this evening, the Comstock Act is a set of federal laws passed by Congress in 1873. It made it illegal to send obscene, lewd, or lascivious, immoral, or indecent materials through the mail, including drugs that induce abortions and contraception. Women throughout the U.S. rely on mifepristone, which has been proven safe numerous times over and over again since it was first put on the market in 2000. Bondi is also an ardent opponent of marriage equality, which is probably one reason why she was selected to become the new Attorney General. On LGBTQ plus rights, Bondi's record ranges from antagonist to a more obfuscated stance. In her first term as Florida's Attorney General, Bondi emerged as a staunch opponent of marriage equality, arguing in 2014 that affirming same-sex marriage rights would impose serious public harm and pushed for a freeze on appeals to the state's gay marriage ban. But just 2 years later, following the tragic mass shooting at Orlando's Pulse nightclub, Bondi promised that the shooter would be punished to the fullest extent of the law and cast herself as an ally to the LGBTQ plus community. An ally? Girl, please. Gonna ask you nicely and only one time, sit down and be quiet. With the remaining time I have, I would just like to add that Governor Shapiro has the solution for Pennsylvanians who are already overwhelmed and tired of hearing about Trump's latest regal pronouncements. Make cannabis available for adults 21 and older and raise the minimum wage so people can afford it. After all, it is highly likely that Trump will order U.S. troops into Gaza so he can create the Riviera of the Middle East. He made clear that he supports ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing, people. All I can add to the conversation is from 1941 to 1945, our elders fought World War II against the Nazis. Now we have them running our federal government. That's all the time we have for today. If you like this broadcast, please be sure to let us know by email at pepradio@paequality.com. If you were watching our videos on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button. Until next Thursday, this has been the news in an hour.